Is I have a flow, existing flow which runs on SOAP XML. Okay, so now my front end always pass. I'll get incoming request in SOAP XML. So now I have my front end has been modernized. So now they will be sending request in JSON. Okay, so I don't want to disturb the existing flow which runs on SOAP XML input, SOAP input and output. And because there are some other consumers who are using SOAP XML still. So for one particular front end, for one particular partner, the thing is front end in JSON.
All right.
Data power broker backend. Okay, so we have front end doing SOAP / XML. Okay, so now there is another front end who wants to who comes in JSON format. Okay, JSON request, who sends JSON request. So this there are flows right here in broker. This is a flow. So what I'm trying to do, I'm adding an extra hop here in broker, like let's say facade flow, and which will hit existing flows. This facade, what this facade flow does, it will receive a JSON request and converts it into SOAP XML and send it to broker. I mean existing flows. Okay, once from the existing flows, it receives response in SOAP XML, then that convert this facade flow again converts the response into JSON and send it back to the front end. This is the main thing to achieve. So for this I need to create a facade flow. Here in at broker level I have like multiple services like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, like so many, so on. So here these all services has URI, right? So I want to here in facade flow I want to create a cache method to pick up this service from the cache file.
Okay.
Cache, I'm expecting cache file to be in a queue.
Okay.
Be in MQ. So that whenever frontend hits JSON request, it will hit facade flow. Facade flow for the first node will convert in JSON into SOAP XML, and also checks. We'll have an identifier in the input request. With one particular identifier, we need to hit. Let's assume X identifier need to hit a service.
Okay.
Likewise, Y identifier hit E service. Okay. So these services. How do I increase?
Control Shift plus or edit or view.
Okay. Got it. Okay, so these services I want to put it in cache. Okay, and through ESQL I want to pick up this in this service from cache file.
Okay. So what is the input that you will give to the cache, and what is the output that you want from the cache?
No, so in this cache file I want to put IP address and port number of this service. Like let's assume URI.
Okay, fine. So input will be identifier and output will be URL. Correct.
URI, and uh, it will hit this particular URI through ESQL line. Uh,
What is the difficulty that you're facing now? Or is it, why
so
are you not able to accomplish the?
I don't know. I have never done this method to pick up cache file from method to pick up URI from cache file.
Okay. Why do you need
So
that cache file to be in a queue?
because my existing flows which will pick up the backend URLs from cache file only. So I want to implement same thing here also.
Are they also using
I
an?
mean, if you have any other idea, then that's fine. But since I'm taking reference of existing flows, so existing flows take cache files, sorry, URI from the cache files, which is in the queue.
So how is that built? What information do they pass to the queue, and how do they get the response back?
Sorry, I didn't get it.
How do they pass the information to MQ? Do they
Mm.
use MQ get node or MQ input node?
MQ
To read?
input.
Okay. So you're telling me that they use MQ input,
No, no,
and
no. One second. I'll tell you. 1 second. I'm checking. 1 second. This is MQ. 1 second. Where is that? Yeah, this is MQ input node.
okay. Will that message be read from that queue, or
So
will you?
sorry. This is MQ get node. Sorry.
Okay, that's what even I guess. So they will read that using MQ get node. So what
Yeah.
is the property in that? Is it the property to remove the message or retain the message after a read?
Retain the message. I
So
mean,
that will be present no matter how many times you read from that queue, right?
yes, exactly. That should be there.
So what is the property on which they look up? It might be correlation ID. Check if it is correlation ID. Are they using correlation ID to fetch the information from the queue using MQ get node?
There will be a name to this service. So,
No. The
oh,
existing.
okay.
What
Correlation ID.
click on the properties and see on the MQ get node
Okay,
what okay, that's it.
okay. Property local manager in parsing is XML NSC advanced. So, what was the question again? Properties?
What parameter do they use or what property do they use to fetch a message from the queue? Do they use MQ message header or MQ correlation ID?
Okay. Where can I see that in the property?
Do you have IIB installed on your personal laptop?
No. I actually it was there, but it was completely
Open up
my.
and search for MQ get node in the browser, and we can go look at the properties in that. The browser open on your personal laptop?
Oh yeah, are you not able to see?
For me, no, because you have selected one window and not the entire. To
Oh
share,
my God, how do I? 1 second.
stop
Let me
share.
give.
Click on
Yeah,
share,
can you see?
and then
Now what? Now you are seeing it.
yes, I can see it. So here MQ get node, come down and click on the show me the properties. Yeah. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. So the properties are queue name, initial buffer, scroll down, MQ GMO. Yeah, scroll down. Scroll down. Yeah, here it is. Property name is node name, short description, long description, queue name. Scroll down. Message domain, message model, message physical format. Scroll down. Parsing options. Scroll down. Yeah, here is advanced property, transaction mode, generate mode. Scroll down. Copy local environment. Scroll down. Wait interval. Scroll down. Minimum buffer size. Scroll down. MQMD location. Get by correlation ID and get by message ID. So this is the property. So see if that property is enabled or disabled. The read button checked or unchecked. Scroll to the top. I'll tell you the section for this. Yeah. No. Wait. Come back to that same thing. And yeah, and look at the request. So request will be the name of that the tab. Click on MQ get node. Click on the request tab. Then tell me what do you see for get by correlation ID. By default, it will be it's a checkbox. By default, it will be unchecked. Tell me request property tab of MQ get node property.
So in properties, I'm checking generate mode, copy message, copy local interval. After that, request. Okay, request properties. Okay, in says it's only browser only. Nothing is there. Get by correlation ID is not selected.
Get by correlation ID is not selected. And how about get by message ID?
No, nothing is selected. There is only browse only. Where is that? Here, this one only. This one is checked.
Okay. So go back to the notepad. So here, how I understand it, press enter a few times and then type MQ get node.
Oh, sorry. Your voice is little hard to me. Yeah.
Correct.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it is better now.
All right. Type MQ get node. So how does the flow start? Does it start with? It has to start with some other node, right? How does the flow start?
Yes. My flow. I'm making
the existing flow. The existing flow for your framework. How does it start?
Existing flow starts with one compute node to check.
Write compute and put hyphen greater than symbol. Compute space hyphen greater than symbol. Then write MQ get node. Yeah, this is the structure of your flow, right?
Yeah.
Before compute, what do you see?
That is a subflow, right? So it is input map. That's what input node is. Like for subflow, we get input and output.
Okay, now this is a subflow. Now write on the previous line, remove the MQ get node and write subflow fetch properties from queue or whatever name you want.
Fetch URI
from queue, right? So let's go take an example of the existing framework. Type enter a few times, and then write HTTP input hyphen. Then that subflow to fetch properties or URI. Yeah. Then you would have the
transformation, request transformation flow.
Okay. Am I audible now? Yeah. So after that, you will have that SOAP request node, right? So write SOAP request node.
No SOAP request. Sorry. Here, this is SOAP/XML. Okay. This existing flow accepts SOAP/XML. So whatever we are getting, we are converting into XML, and we are transforming here into XML and sending the request to broker.
Okay. So HTTP reply or request and reply. Yeah. So here, how I understand this, you have a subflow which fetches information from a queue, and what happens is the messages from the queue are read into ESQL cache. So go to the subflow and see if there is a variable that is declared as shared. Go to the subflow which has MQ-get node and open ESQL and see if a shared variable has been declared.
Okay, I'm checking. I don't see anything declared as shared variable.
Yeah, press Control H and type SHARED shared and search in all the ESQL files, star.esql.
Okay.
Control H, file search tab.
Yeah.
SHARED shared. Then
yeah. I'm looking up.
Is this project linked to any Java or shared library? There are two caches in IIB or ACE. One is ESQL in-memory cache, and the second one is global cache. So if you want to implement in ESQL in-memory cache, you would have that shared row variable. If you want to implement that in Java, you would make use of the Java in-memory properties or the recommended use of a cache from IBM is by using the global cache. So have you heard about global cache in your project being used?
Yeah, but not in this one. Global cache isn't for other services, which is not related to this particular web service.
In that case, you would be using the ESQL cache. We can also implement this without ESQL cache, but that would be more IO intensive. So to make it more performant, we will not be calling the MQ-get node on each and every instance. We will instead call the ESQL in-memory cache. So the way to implement this is by pushing some information or the cache this properties file into the queue, and then you will use the MQ-get node with that compute node, and then you will read the file and its contents. You will load those properties into your ESQL shared row. You will map the identifier X with the URL A. You will map the identifier Y with the URL B, all from the file that you read from the queue, or the message that you will read from the queue. So let's assume that the message is an XML message. So you will have the field names as X and Y, and you will have the field values as A and B. Okay, can you create an XML message with the field name as okay, let's first create the root tag. So let's call it properties or mapping or any other meaningful tag.
I'll put host so that we are picking up URI, right?
Correct. Okay, now write the property as or the identifier as X. Open X, yeah, that field. And add the value as A. HTTP / something /A.
Okay, I'm just trying to put all the pointers here. Let's say name will be X.
No, not name. No, not name. Write the name of the XML field as X. Instead of name, type X there. X, yes. Now the value should be HTTP :// ... ending with A.
Okay. HTTP let's assume local host
1234 or 7080 /A. Now end that X. So representing some URL for the X service.
Oh, you
Or
mean to say this X is identifier, right? Okay.
correct. Now repeat the same thing for B, and the field name should be Y. Instead of A, type B there. So here is an XML file which contains the mapping of the identifier to the service URL. Okay. Yeah. So if you read this message, you would then go.
So can I do like this because can I do like okay? Let me copy this. I mean, just for my better understanding. Is this like this also so okay? Because
yeah,
I'm trying to use
so
same kind.
Let me share the information about the ESQL that you will have to write in both the instances. So in the first instance, you will have to write an ESQL set. Yeah. Set URI is equal to, let's assume that write in small letters. Or environment, yeah. Let's not assume that there is a variable called as URI. Write set environment, capital E, yeah. And now write URI dot URI, environment dot URI is equal to input root dot XML NSC dot properties. I'm assuming, okay, instead of properties, write mapping. That's better. Properties is confusing. Yeah, write mapping dot host. Now write dot flower bracket open environment dot identifier or just type ID. That's small, and yeah, close the flower bracket. Copy this entire line and put it just before host. Right now it is not clearly visible. Yeah. Cut here and paste there. Yeah, cut there. Now on the previous line, that is just above environment.uri, type. Next, type set environment.id is equal to dot dot dot. So you will have to fetch the ID from your incoming message, right? So ID will be different for different messages. So the first hit to your facade flow will be for the service X, and the second one could be for service X or service Y. So that is dependent upon your input HTTP message. So let's just write, okay, you don't have to write anything. Just so assume that there is some variable present inside the global environment, and we are using that to fetch the mapping for URI. So you'll have to use this ESQL expression. Now scroll down and select the.
No, here what it comes set environment.id is like I'm getting in JSON request, right? Input root.
Yeah, input root dot JSON
JSON dot data dot this X.
No, it will not be X or it will not be Y. It will be some information that is okay, indicating that this ID is X. So hard code the value as X, yeah, for environment at ID. Delete the input root.json.data and write X in its place within single quotes.
Okay.
To put a before this line, move one.
So sorry to interrupt. So you are saying set environment dot id is equal to x. But this is hard coded,
No.
but here.
Let me complete this.
Okay.
Let's go to one level up, a line up. Yeah. Write if condition. If environment input root dot json dot abc
Dot json dot data not required.
dot data. Yeah. Dot data is also required. Dot data dot abc. Use exist function. A square bracket open and close. Square bracket. Just after abc. Yeah. No space. Go before input root and write exists. If space exists exists.
Exist.
It's a function in ESQL. Open small bracket. Yeah. After the close that small bracket. Space then you will write that set statement. After that, press enter. After X on the next line, press enter. End if. So you are checking for some root element within your input payload of JSON to identify this data is for identifier X and for the service A. So if that is present in some field of your incoming payload, you can use that. If that is not present in the incoming payload, you'll have to use a if condition like what I've shown. Does it exist in a JSON payload, the identifier?
Yeah, it exists. It exists after data in the root.
Then you can use that value. You don't have to use this if condition. Write that structure. Delete the if condition and just directly write the mapping. Directly write the X path. Delete if condition.
Where should I write?
You have selected something, right? Paste that input root dot json dot data dot abc, yeah, or whatever the structure is. Write that where you will get the ID. No, the ID will be the name of the tag and X will be the value, isn't it?
Okay. One second.
Find out what that structure is.
Yeah, it is there with me.
It will not be the root element.
Yeah, it is not root element. It is coming after data only, under data only.
Yeah, okay, write ID there. Or whatever the word is indicating the ID.
No,
Service ID.
After data, it is coming like this.
Put a dot and write that value. Write the name of the field.
There is no field. That's what I'm saying. Directly it is coming under data. After that, the payload starts.
Delete the if condition first. Yeah, so delete end if. Now write the JSON structure. Show me how it looks. Write a curly brace and then show me that JSON structure.
So it is coming as input root.
Why will it have input root?
Oh, okay.
Show me the JSON.
JSON structure. One second. Okay. It's like this is an identifier. Okay, one second.
What is the value for this?
Nothing is there. This is identifier directly. Okay. Okay. I'll do one thing. I'll just write the JSON request so that instead of saying X or whatever, X, so that it will be easy. This is the identifier. Okay.
Within the curly brace, you will have the payload, is it?
Yeah.
Write a few elements in that.
Yeah, I'm right.
Write some arbitrary, channel and other things. So okay. So in this case, what you'll have to do is put a curly brace and open and close, and delete the new line.
I'm adding one more so that
sure.
it will be easy.
Okay.
So this is how it looks, and this is my identifier.
Now write star after data dot, put a star, and the function that you'll have to use is field name. So you'll have to write that field name before input root. Before input root, you will have to write FIELD field NAME name, open small bracket, and after star put of 0, that is square bracket within inside that 0. No, not the English of, delete that English letters of, and after star put open square bracket, and type 0 in it. So you are selecting the first element inside data. So the first element is X request. That will be present as a value for this field name function. It will be saved under environment.id. Understood?
Okay, got it.
In the next line of ESQL, we are fetching the URL for X request. The ESQL syntax that we have used is a dynamic select of the data from that below XML. So we, instead of writing host.x, we are replacing that x value with a variable, and the flower bracket is used to dynamically evaluate that variable into an X path. Okay. So you will use that expression here, and you will get the value. So only 2 lines of code or 1 line of code to fetch that mapping. So now let's go to the next line. Same logic also applies regarding set environment.id. Copy and paste set environment.id. That line, copy that entire line, paste it for the second XML. Delete the next new line in between set environment.id and set environment. Now, no, delete the third line. Now paste it after host. By and host.
After host.
Not there. Scroll down. Over there. Press a new line few times, and then paste that value. After host, type new line a few times. Now the second line for this ESQL expression should be set environment.uri. After this, no, ID is required. ID is required. On the next line, set environment.uri is equal to select URI, select space URI space input root. Wait. You only want to fetch an item for URI, right? So type select item space URI. Item should be in caps. Item is a keyword in ESQL, space URI. So this will only fetch one single element and its value, and not the key value pair. Space from, capital letters from, space input root dot xmlnsc dot mapping dot host dot host dot URI sorry. After host, put a square bracket. So we are fetching it from this array space where in caps. After square bracket, type some indicator. Let's call it TBL, space TBL, small letters TBL. TBL for table. Yeah. Now where TBL dot name is equal to environment dot ID. Use that small bracket, close using that small bracket, and we'll write this. Yeah, close the small bracket now. Before select, write theta. Before select, write theta and open the small bracket. Yeah. So what this select expression does is it will go and loop through the different host mappings. It will check for the table name, not this XML, one below. Scroll down.
Okay.
For this XML, you'll use that ESQL statement. For above XML, you'll use that dynamic evaluate statement. The difference in between these two statements, even though they both work, is that the first one is more performant and the second one is not. Second one is slow and the first one is fast.
Okay, then I'll implement this one. Okay. So what happens here? A certain moment of field ID we are picking up from the identifier we are picking up from the input request, and we are setting up URI from input to XML NSC mapping host. This host will be capital, right?
Whatever is the casing in your XML. If it is capital letters in your that file,
yeah,
it has to be capital in this.
Host environment.id and this XML. Should I mention this also in the starting line? There will be something, right?
The root element is mapping. Before host, you'll have to write mapping as a root element. Since you have multiple hosts, you cannot have multiple hosts in XML file. You can only have one host. So open, yeah, like that. If you use capital letter for M, you'll have to use capital letter for M over in ESQL as well. Copy that and use it as an end tag. Right. Repeat the same for the other XML. So this is how you will implement a cache and dynamic or URL fetching using the subflow.
Okay, so these two lines will go in subflow, right?
Correct.
So okay, I think I'm little lost. So here, this is that compute node, okay, which transforms JSON to XML.
Okay.
And send it to backend.
Correct.
Which URL? This will come from this, right? This URI, right?
You have already set the environment with URI, right? So inside request X form FORM, you will use an a set local environment. Yeah, right on the next line. Right on the next line. Yeah. Set output local environment dot HTTP output local environment dot HTTP dot request dot destination dot URI is equal to environment dot URI. you'll have to check the correct path for local environment for HTTP request, but you get an idea of right on what you have to search. So like this, if you populate the output local environment with the correct URI, it will dynamically invoke that particular URI or service.
Okay, it will invoke the, it will take the whatever URI it will fetch from the queue, and yeah, it will reply. And this file which will be, this will be in queue, right? In subflow. Where is that? Okay, so in MQ here in subflow, we, okay, 1 second, let me put heading. Subflow will be like compute node,
MQ get node,
and will be output.
MQ get node, sorry, compute node again. So input, then MQ get node, then compute, and then output. Switch the location of MQ get and compute.
Okay, first will be MQ get. MQ get node, and here will be
compute.
Okay, so basically we will place the this XML file in this get node, and we'll fetch through ESQL. We'll fetch these files, right? That's it. These 2 lines.
Right. The 2 lines of ESQL you have to write inside that compute, and the 1 line of ESQL for output local environment you'll have to write in the request X form.
Yeah, request X form. And here this reloading concept is not needed, right?
What reloading?
Like if I put this XML once in MQ get queue, MQ.
Into any queue using RFS util or using MQ Explorer.
Yeah. So I don't have to reload that file in queue every time, right? Not needed.
You don't have to push that same file into that queue multiple times, because it will not be read. It is you'll have to select MQ browse only property, and it will not be read from that queue.
Okay, so in this MQ get,
you don't have to write the same information into the queue, or you don't have to reload that same information into the queue. Whenever you do want to update that properties file, all you have to do is read the queue using a RFS util and write the new file into that queue. That's all that you have to do.
So in this MQ get node, should I select only browse only?
Correct. That was your framework implemented on your company, and that's what we are implementing here.
Okay, fine. So can you after now I'm pretty much clear. Thanks a lot.